Start on this side and then alternate between the two. So please go ahead.
Yeah, this question is for Rob from Tryon. So I've heard a little bit about Defiance, but I've never actually seen anything from the game. What's it going to look like? When are you going to show it off finally?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that actually. We've shown the game at E3 and Gamescom to the press and a few select other people, but we decided today to actually show for the first time to you guys, and the first time the public has actually seen any gameplay. And so we actually have a trailer that you guys can check out.
Like right now. Trailer time, folks. First ever footage of Defiance. I have one question, Rob. Can I actually play one of those aliens that rips people apart?
I can't say anything about it.
Okay, all right. Just, I hope. Okay. The next side, please.
It's probably a good segue from that trailer. So quite a few years ago, PlanetSide 1 came out, and that was an MMO FPS or MMO shooter, and that was kind of new. And since then, we hadn't really seen anything like that. And now this year and the last year, it seems like everything is an MMO shooter. World of Tanks, Dust 514, PlanetSide 2 again, Defiance right there. So I'm curious, kind of what made the industry jump towards MMO shooters suddenly and with so many developers?
I think we got the right guy to help answer that at the start.
Yeah, one of the big things that I think it is going back to the first answer that I gave. I feel like we're at a turning point in terms of games focusing more on gameplay. I really feel like MMO games kind of have a couple promises to players, and one of those is to create a great community, and the other one is to create great competition. And I feel like MMO games in general have done a pretty good job of creating a good community, and I think they've done a pretty poor job of creating good competition. And making a truly competitive online experience, I mean, a shooter's a no-brainer for that. That's a really good way to create a competitive game. I mean, you guys actually have a couple games that are coming out that are more competitive oriented, right? And you have, yeah, End of Nations also is another one.
Yeah, End of Nations is a really competitive game. The thing for us though was, I mean, it's obviously a huge shooter market out there, and you definitely want to tap a big market. But a little different from PlanetSide is we're really player versus environment focused. So again, building that community, but not necessarily in the competition sense, but more in the let's go out together and go on missions and solve these problems and fight together and build that community that way.
You know, just to answer your question, since we don't have a shooter MMO coming out as a gamer, the answer is you guys. You guys, if you haven't figured this out yet, the change in the business model is almost completely turning everything on its ear. You guys, moving into the free-to-play space and the microtransaction space, we're getting into a place where, unlike any time before us, you guys will dictate everything that we do in the market. When you're talking about big budget games of $50, $70, $100 million going free to play, that's a huge bet to make if you don't believe that there's revenue on the other side. So you guys are going to determine and drive the MMO space far more than you ever have in the past, which I think is an awesome thing.
I just want to say too, MMOs are about creating a world that you interact with, and there are a lot more ways to interact than just RPG. So shooters are just, in RTS stuff too, it's just another way to create new types of interactions and new ways for people to experience like interacting in the world. Like there are things that shooters do that we're doing in our game. There are things that shooters do that they're obviously doing in PlanetSide since it is a shooter. It's just about creating interactions for players, and there are a lot of interactions outside of just what we've seen before. So.
All right, very good. Next question.
First, I just wanted to thank Kurt for 2004, 2007. But I was interested for all of you, sort of what was the game or their MMO that really got you focused on doing this professionally and hopefully not your own game, but and sort of how did that drive you? I guess most specifically, what was the game?
We'll actually start on the other end and come down. Start with Kurt.
Well, I already tipped my hand. EverQuest was kind of my first love, and it was the game I think that made me have the same thought you all had, which was, wow, why did they do this? And wow, this feature sucks, and I could do this better. And then for some reason, at some point in my life, I decided to spend all the money I'd ever made on making one, which I still can't rationalize at home. I'm trying, not winning, but this is, I can't imagine being in a more vibrant, more energetic, more forward-thinking space than this one right now. Again, I said earlier, we up here are involved on a daily basis and more in tune with you, the players, than in any other genre. And we're, I can speak for myself, and I'm sure some of these guys would agree. So much of what we do from a tools perspective is now focused on trying to read your thoughts and understand what it is you want us to give you and give you more of.
Yeah, and actually being at SOE while EverQuest was being built, I got to see that whole process and why those decisions were made in some cases. But it's really about the community that these things create. I mean, they're huge communities, they're very passionate communities. I mean, hell, my brother met his wife through EverQuest. So you can definitely see that they are also life changers with those communities.
I'm going to have a different answer. Not really an MMO, but Diablo was my favorite online RPG. It informed more than just like online games, but it informed a lot of BioWare's RPGs. It was just a great game. I think I wasted a lot of. It actually delayed Baldur's Gate by 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, at least for me, if we're gonna say MMOs, Dark Age of Camelot. Particularly the RVR is kind of a little bit about that social experience that I was talking about, that all of like our PvE and World Reworld and everything is founded on. It's all based on, when you see a person, you care about them because sometime later they're maybe going to have to save your butt. And like that's for everyone, everywhere in our game. And so just kind of took that and brought that in. So.
I'll be a little bit more specific. It was EverQuest for me, but in particular the Rallis Zek server, which was the PvP server. And I love that the community policed themselves. I liked that everybody knew who the assholes were, and everybody knew who the good guys were, and everybody knew everybody. And there was just such a strong community built around hating one another that it just grew on me.
Yeah, I was very lucky. Mine was Anarchy Online, a game that I later got to run. And kind of similar to Kurt, it inspired me. I was hooked. I played EverQuest and UO before then, and Dark Ages and a bit. But Anarchy was the first world that really connected with me, and I met a lot of great friends. And I just kind of set my mind that one day I'm going to work for them. And 5 years later, I got to run it, and I was game director. And it's kind of a cool feeling to have that world where you're I was there on launch day buying a box, and it crashed consistently for 3 days. As everyone knows. But even through that, I could always see the beauty of that world. And I think everyone who plays MMOs has that first game. That game that really seals your love of the genre, and why we're still here trying to recreate that. Because I hope in 10, 15 years' time, someone might say that about a game that we make.
First cut is the deepest, right? For me, it was definitely EverQuest. I remember I was in 2001 going to college back in Florida, and I was spending more time playing EverQuest than studying by just a ridiculous amount. Like 16 hours EverQuest and 0 hours studying. And that didn't do too well for my scholastic aspirations, so I ended up dropping out of college, packing all my stuff in my car, and moving cross country from Florida to San Diego and begging for a job in QA. And I've been at SOE for 10 years after that. So yeah, definitely EverQuest for me was literally the reason that I got a job in the games industry.